welcome to another episode of Filling Your Toolbox. I am your host, Diana Schlauch, your guide on this journey through education, where we dig into the resources that you might just not have time to go looking for. So our guest today is Daman Harris. So a little bit about Daman before we dig into some of the questions that we have. So Dr. Daman Harris is an award-winning educator, author, and leader committed to advancing equity and excellence in education. He currently serves as our Senior Manager of Educator Advancement and Institutes of Higher Education, you may hear that, IHE, partnerships, where he leads initiatives to strengthen educator pipelines and professional learning. With a career spanning more than 29 years, Dr. Harris has held roles as principal, building level coach, district level coach, adjunct professor at several local colleges, where he shapes educators and supports inclusive environments. So welcome.
Thank you, Diana. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So just a little side note. So Dr. Harris is part of our professional learning and organizational advancement. I'm getting so much better at saying that.
Team Ploa.
Tongue, right? Ploa. So he and his team are housed currently at Carver, and we will be moving shortly. But so I get to see Dr. Harris on a quasi-regular basis, and have had the great opportunity to get to know you a little bit, and a little bit more we'll share with our teachers out there. So welcome.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so let's just jump right in. So tell us a little bit about your role and what brought you to this position.
Right. So my role is to support employees in our district who want to grow, and primarily through the mechanisms of university programs. However, I do support individual, small group, large group presentations and workshops, coaching, mentoring, any form of professional learning that fits that our folks need. Sometimes I may write some things. Sometimes I may support them through interpersonal connections that I help them create. So it varies.
Yeah.
But any way somebody wants to grow, the district can plug me in.
It's awesome. And I know a lot of the teachers that I work with on a daily basis I send them to you a lot and Michelle, for resources and different connections through some of those college programs and university partnerships. So tell me a little bit about how you ended up at Anne Arundel County Public Schools, because I know we all have different stories of how we got here. I'm not a native Marylander, but yeah, so I'd love to hear how you got here.
Yeah, so I could take it all the way back to when I got kicked out of undergrad. I won't go that far back, so I'll just go coming out of school. I went to work in Baltimore County, and I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. My wife is from the DC area. Yeah. So when we both graduated from the University of Delaware, she said we need to be somewhere between the two of our families. So we chose Baltimore. It worked out really well until we had children. And so when we had children, she said being close, halfway between each of our families is not being close to either. So need to move either closer to your family, Daman, or closer to my family. I know she didn't really mean by like my family. So here we are in the DMV. And so I worked in Montgomery County for a good long while, and came over here to Anne Arundel, and I started looking around after I decided it was time to leave Montgomery County for a little bit. Started looking around, and I put the word out to different people, and folks told me, hey, Anne Arundel has a bunch of opportunities. They are really looking to grow in the way that they do things. And now I applied for a job, and here I am. I went from there looking for a job to we are Anne Arundel County. So I'm feeling really great about that. And I get to see my in-laws all the time.
Aww. Well, we're very appreciative of your wife for getting you here. So let's talk a little bit about the department that you work with and support and lead, really. So let's talk a little bit about the mission and vision of IHE partnerships and educator advancement.
And go, yeah. And we sort of plug in and dovetail to the broader Ploa mission. And that is, our vision is like to develop a high quality workforce, one that values professional learning and helps to prepare our students to contribute to a diverse and changing world. A lot of that Belong, Grow, Succeed, that is our umbrella organization as our district. It's the same way. And we support it through the mission that we think about is providing continuous and focused learning for all employees, not just teachers. We want to serve as a support network to folks who are trying to grow in our school system. And we want to make sure that we're advancing folks as individuals, but also in ways that contribute to our organizational efforts to ensure that every student has an opportunity to belong, grow, and succeed.
Awesome. So then we're going to get a little bit into the department itself. And I know this answer because I know some of the work that you do with teachers, but I know that there is more that I am just learning about. And to be honest, like some of it I'm just learning about. I know there's one part in here that I didn't know about until we started working together on this podcast. So I'm really excited about that. But tell us a little bit about how you support teachers and how do you collaborate? How do you work with them in other departments?
Gotcha. Will do.
Yeah.
And so our team is about supporting and delivering that high quality professional learning for everybody in our district that we can. And we think that this type of support or these types of opportunities need to be job embedded. They need to be collaborative. We need to have things that are sustained over time and not just one-off and one and done sort of operations. And we also need to keep in mind that diversity and equity and inclusion should be front of mind in all of our work. And to that end, our team in IHE partnerships, we support in 4 primary areas. So one of them is the national board certification efforts that we do, that we're all on that team as well. Anybody who's working with universities or working with the interns from those universities that become our next generation of co-workers, we want those folks that are there. Anyone who is looking for any type of professional learning opportunities, that's what we do. We collaborate with offices across the district. We sometimes talk with HR. Just walking in here to the studio, bumped into somebody in the hallway from Human Resources that said, "Hey, I just sent you an email. We need to make sure we connect, and because there's this thing we need to collaborate on." So we do that all the time. We also connect with our Division of Instruction and School Performance. We connect with over 24 universities and colleges and other umbrella organizations like the National Association for School University Partnerships or the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. Our hands are in a bunch of different pots, trying to make sure we create the right recipe for support for our folks.
Yeah, and we have so many teachers coming from different areas, whether they're going through a traditional education program or, a lot of our career changers, conditional teachers. So it's nice to see the work that you do to help and support like everybody. And so that's fantastic stuff. Big job. So tell me a little bit about how, or if you have some examples of how you've helped teachers in the past.
Yeah. So teachers often reach out to me or to my colleague, Michelle Cannon, in the office. She's the academic specialist that supports us. So they often may reach out for guidance around like what kind of program they want to take or help thinking about how they're going to fund the program that they want to take or their higher education goals, any way that they are thinking about that next step in higher education. So we spend a lot of time talking to individual employees about their desires and the options that might fit those, and sometimes helping them to distinguish between wants and needs to that. So it is gratifying to see someone who hasn't been in school, in college for 20 years who makes her way through or is their way through a bachelor's program and say, "I never thought I'd be a teacher, and now here I am." Those things are very gratifying. In other cases, I support programs that help conditional teachers earn their professional licenses. For instance, we partner with the University of Maryland on the Creative Initiative in Teacher Education program. And that Creative Initiatives in Teacher Education is CITE, so we call it the SITE program. It supports cohorts of up to 20 conditional teachers as they try to earn their initial professional licenses. at the elementary level, in grades 1 through, it says 6, but it's really 1 through 5. They need to be elementary school. And those folks are in a cohort. They're taking courses together and learning and growing together and supporting each other all the way through. Another way to support teachers is by leading professional learning activities, like a workshop I facilitated not too long ago on how to implement and plan great summarizers in the lessons that we teach. Those are things that we offer as well in my office and on my team. I've also helped some of our folks who haven't had as much experience in being on the national scene and maybe being able to present at a conference for the first time or maybe one of the early times. So we help with the development of their proposals and their submissions, and sometimes we help with the facilitation. It was just with some employees back in March of 2025 down in New Orleans, where they presented their first piece together at the National Association of School University Partnerships Conference. So I was really, really excited to help folks develop their professional sort of expertise and profiles and brands in that way too.
So I'm just learning this for the first time. I did not know that you did that your department did that. And I see that, right? So now I'm seeing even bigger picture, right? We're helping teachers from like that starting gate, like just I want to be a teacher. How do I get there? To, okay, now I've been teaching for a little bit. I have some great strategies or things that I've done to share with everybody, like local or not. I mean, the national level is kind of intense, but knowing that support is there is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know people that I'm going to send over to you.
Right. This is what we do in Anne Arundel. We help each other grow.
Oh, and I will say, right, networking is huge. And this is just another way to do that. I'm like, and that's why I love that I get to do this, because very, very my passion project. Let's talk a little bit more about the SITE program, just a little bit. So you said for grades 1 through 5, how would a teacher, who would be a good candidate for that program?
So we have in our district, it would be it could be anybody. It could be any teacher who's a conditional teacher.
Okay.
It is an initial licensure program,
right,
but it isn't something that'll give somebody a different certification other than that initial professional license.
Right.
And it's geared towards folks who are conditionally certified teachers or conditionally licensed teachers because they have to spend a lot of time in charge in the classrooms in order to demonstrate their knowledge and expertise in their courses. So that's why that needs to be there.
Okay.
But there's also a way for paraeducators to be a part of that role as well, but that it takes a lot of flexibility from their school site to say that they're going to allow them to spend an enormous amount of time in a particular classroom supporting students so they can demonstrate their knowledge and skills. But they currently run it with groups of cohorts of paraeducators and cohorts of conditionally licensed teachers, and they make it work either way.
That's amazing. This is a program that I'm just learning about. So I think that's fantastic. And working with conditional teachers in my role, that's a great resource. And, just something that they can, obviously it's elementary based, but, giving them another option to get licensure with that support from this program cohort, it's amazing. So awesome. Thanks for sharing. So are there any approaches that you are working on or programs that you think other than the SITE program that you want to share that are just amazing and you want to get out there?
Now, folks, all of our university partners will be upset that I only mentioned SITE. It's kind of like reading that thank you on some award ceremony. You're going to leave people out. So we have programs with Towson and Mount St. Mary's and Notre Dame and Loyola and
There's
just about
so many.
Yeah, if you can name a district university in our region, we probably have had conversations with them all the way down to D.C. and Northern Virginia with American or GW. And so we're all over the place.
Absolutely.
So just reach out to me. We'll talk about my contact information later, but reach out to me and I can help you make a connection to whatever university or talk to you about the different options and programs that we have in partnership. Sometimes those partnerships are something as simple as we just allow them to stick their ads on our website.
Right.
Other times it's far more where we say we're going to have a direct billing agreement where those folks come to us for money before they come to our employees so that employees pay as little out of pocket as possible and all kinds of things in between. So the biggest item that I'd like to get out there that really isn't a program that's run by AACPS is called the Teaching Fellows for Maryland Scholarship. It's run by MSDE and the Maryland Higher Education Commission and the University Systems of Maryland. They all partner to give a scholarship to anybody who is trying to get an initial license. So whether it's a high schooler coming out of school, whether it's a career changer, whether it's a conditional teacher who's already been working here, anybody who's working on their initial license, it pays free. It pays the room, board, tuition, fees for any public school in Maryland. And it pays for like about half for those who are private schools in Maryland.
Okay.
And oftentimes those universities and private schools will offer grants that offset so that it's close to being free for that as well. And the strings are really minimal. It's a really limited application process. You just you show that you are enrolled in the program, and you have to write like a 600-word essay, and that's it.
What? Oh my God.
And I know of one of our university partners who tells all of their students when they come in from high school, everybody apply for this. And they have over 100 students who have this right now. Everybody they's told to apply has gotten it.
Oh my gosh.
So it is not something that is used a lot around our state. And we could really benefit from this. And we talk about this all the time. Conditionally licensed teachers.
Yeah.
It fits for folks who are parent educators who are thinking like, I can't afford to get my bachelor's degree.
Right.
Money is not the obstacle anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Now it comes with some other strings too. Like you have to commit to teaching in Maryland for 2 years at a high needs school.
2 years.
And then you get a free degree.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. This is the first time that I'm hearing about this. So I'm going to, blab all over the place just because obviously working with conditional teachers, this is huge. And, knowing like a lot of times and having taught in so many different states, I know that in Anne Arundel County, coming here, when I came here, getting my master's degree was accessible for me because I knew that there were the cohorts and the programs available that were going to offset that cost. So I was able to go through that direct billing. The costs for my master's was minimal. This is even more amazing, especially since it'll help those conditional teachers access, the program that they need to get licensed. And I know for a lot of the teachers that I've been working with, that's a challenge. I mean, look at where we are right now, and
Absolutely.
Money's tight, so every little bit helps. So this is amazing.
And if you want to stay in the AACPS sort of ecosystem and just be on our brand, we also have our own in-house critical shortage area tuition reimbursement. That also could be something folks.
Yeah, let's get into that one too. So Teaching Fellows for Maryland Scholarship, so they can reach out to you or Michelle for that.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about critical shortage area. Tell me more.
So this one is our in-house that we've been using before this Teaching Fellows for Maryland Scholarship existed.
Okay.
So this is only for Unit 1 folks. So, but it's conditional teachers, it does work.
Okay.
And this works for more than just people who are working on their initial professional license. Now, it says that the stipulation is that you need to get an advanced degree, so it could be a master's or a doctorate, and it needs to yield a new endorsement on your license.
Okay.
And it's only for teachers, only for Unit 1 folks. So you could be a conditional teacher on a conditional license and get an initial professional license. That would count. You could be a teacher who's been teaching for 20 years and you're going to get an ESOL degree or ESOL program and get a degree that yields that endorsement. You can get that counts. Maybe you want to get it in computer science or family consumer sciences or you name it, CTE. All of our programs all fit under this critical shortage area tuition reimbursement because we need teachers in every area.
Everywhere. Yep.
The only certification area, endorsement area that is not on here, licensure area, is Admin 1. So if you're a teacher trying to get your administrator's license, this critical shortage area tuition reimbursement doesn't work for you.
Right.
Because we want folks who are going to be in our classrooms and we're going to pay for this. This pays for 18 credits a year for up to whatever the University of Maryland is charging per credit. Right now it's $850 per credit, 18 credits a year. It could pay for a master's degree in 2 years. And all you have to do is commit. Now, the strings are a little tighter than when you're doing the teaching fellows. We make sure we ask folks to commit to teaching to working 4 years with us when they finish their program. And because we're giving so much money, there might be tax ramifications that you need to talk to your tax preparer about. I'm not a tax expert. I don't pretend to be one. So folks need to make sure they're consulting their folks, because the IRS may say, you got $15,000 extra.
Yeah.
From district last year.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So
yeah.
You need to think, we need to talk to you about that. And there's more detail on our critical shortage area website about that folks can go and read.
Awesome. I mean, that's amazing. So
nobody else is doing it.
No. And I tell people all the time, coming from, I taught in Texas, I taught in Rhode Island, I taught in New Jersey, I taught in, did I say Connecticut? Connecticut, Texas, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland. Can't remember if there was anywhere else, but no state that I have ever been in offered as much for teachers to help them achieve that initial certification and beyond. So a master's degree and potentially a PhD if you want it, which is quite amazing.
And the PhD is the toughest one.
Yeah.
Because we haven't been able to find our university partners that can blend what they're doing to make that new endorsement. Like you can get a PhD and an ESOL license along the way. So we've still been trying to figure that out.
Yeah. And, but I mean, honestly, just like a master's degree is huge. So it's amazing what's available. And the fact that critical shortage is another viable option for conditional teachers, it's just another way to help,
Money is not
this is what we're doing to help. We want you to stay here. This is what we're doing. So make use of it. And again, they would, reach out to you or to Michelle to get further information about that. I'm going to try and get some of the stuff up on the YouTube page too, so we can have a link to all your information that you guys share too. So I'm going to ask, because I always ask everybody. But it's really clear, but I'm sure that there's pieces that we're missing. But so how, we know that this is beneficial to teachers, right? So let's talk a little bit about, is there anything that we're missing? In other ways that these resources are beneficial for teachers, and then, students, because our focus is down the road to we want to help grow teachers and then eventually help students achieve. So let's dig into that just a little bit.
Well, in that Teaching Fellows from Maryland scholarship, that critical shortage area tuition reimbursement, they are definitely simple ways to fund your higher education desires. Whether you're a teacher that's committed to the district and you are committed to students, then funding is not the issue. Right, that will not be the primary obstacle. Now, the work is hard.
Yeah, it's not easy, right?
Teaching, working in schools is hard, and going to school while you're working in schools is hard. But it won't be about money, so you can certainly make those happen. And when I think about how this work supports children, let's step back and say how this supports educator licensure. And I think that our work in my office is really primarily through that development and promotion and implementation, and to some extent evaluation of some of our university partnership programs and reimbursement programs that lead to licensure or new endorsements on licenses. I think it begins with talking with our employees about their needs and sharing those needs sometimes with our university partners, because our university partners are saying, what do you want? Because we want to provide and start to plan for the future to kind of future-proof their program and to say what's coming down the road in terms of student needs, in terms of teachers' needs, in terms of school leaders' needs. And when we get that information from our folks, our employees, we share it, and our compatriots around the region share it with our university partners. And then things change, and we offer different types of things, like that SITE program came out of folks saying we need something a little different. So that works. And when I think about if we have to build something from scratch, because that's what our partners, our employees say we need, then that's what we do too.
Amazing.
So we have a partnership with Towson University that we call the LIFT grant, the Leadership for In-Service and Future Teachers, where we do some supports with our folks who are nationally board certified teachers, help them become co-faculty adjunct at Towson, and they teach programs to our employees, sometimes a little bit on student side, but really it's our employees to help them develop their skills in different areas. And that program is also connected to our Teacher Academy in Maryland students who are there'll be one of the CAT schools, CAT South, I think, in 2025, 2026. And those students are working on becoming teachers or future educators if they're not teachers in the future. So those types of things happen too. But if I step back and think big picture about how this work benefits student achievements generally, that response is the reason why I got into school leadership in general. And it is really easy for me to deliver. If adults grow more, then kids grow more.
That's it.
Right? That's it. So the more I can support the growth of the adults and some of our educators, the more I can support the achievement of our children and the communities that they're in.
Absolutely.
So that's why we do what we do.
Amazing. Well, thank you for just sharing all that that information. This will be, I'm really excited to get this one posted because I think a lot of teachers are going to be really excited to hear about some of the resources that you shared. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening. Please invite your fellow teachers to give a listen. Check out our episodes and shared resources on our AACPS YouTube channel. Click on podcasts and find Filling Your Toolbox. So this is closing out another episode of Filling Your Toolbox, and we will see you next time.